Well, welcome to your last math lesson of the year. We're going to use an interesting strategy today to solve our negatives. And this is one of those strategies that it doesn't really show a lot of understanding, kind of like when you're using uh, cross multiplication to compare fractions, but it's a good way to check your work and to get the right answer. Then you can maybe think it through the other way. So just one quick review from yesterday when I was talking about doing the double negatives. I thought the more I thought about it, I think the debit card example is even better than the IOU, and this is what I mean by that. So if you have a debit card, the first number here means somebody's putting $6 onto their card. All right, so you have a balance of $6. Now the second part shows that there's been a charge for $11. And I'm sure you guys have been aware of some frauds and some different transactions where the person doesn't really charge it. Somehow somebody got their number, then they call the credit card company, and then they end up canceling out that debit. And that's basically what this is showing here, that this is canceling out the charge of $11. So after you make that call to your credit card company, debit card company, bank to dispute the charge, what it basically is saying is that $11 is going back into your account. All right. So instead of taking it out, it's going back in. And so you would be adding the 11. All right. So that's just another way to think of it. Whatever works for you. There were a lot of people that had several wrong yesterday, even though there were many negatives and negatives that had greater absolutes. They had all positive numbers for their answers. So please use the strategies today and make sure that you have these correct. All right, so today's strategy is called keep, change, change. All right, it's kind of an interesting one now to use, and it's exactly what it says. So you have three parts to it. Keep, that means you keep the first number exactly the same. So if it's negative, you keep it negative. If it's positive, you keep it positive. Now you're going to change the operation, and then you're going to change this number. Whatever sign it is, you're going to do the opposite. All right, so let's rewrite it down below. So I'm going to keep it. I'm changing my minus to a plus, and now I'm changing the sign of my negative into a plus, and I don't have to write that, right? I don't need to write positive numbers. So take a look. Now I have 7 plus 6 equals 13. All right, so we talked about that yesterday, how that little dash right there becomes the second part of the plus. This is basically a strategy that shows that change, change. So common mistakes happen when people think changing negatives and this first number is negative and they change it, but don't, because it says keep it exactly the way that it is. All right, let's look at another example here. All right, so negative 25 minus 10. So we have keep, change, change. I'm going to write that up above. Here we go. I'm keeping that first number. I'm keeping it exactly the same. I'm going to change my operation. And now I'm going to change my second number, which is now going to become negative 10. Now, hopefully, it's a little bit easier for some of you guys to see. I have two negatives, which I'm going to add together, and then my answer is going to be a greater negative, right? So it would be 35, the sum of my absolutes, and I match the sign. All right, so I know some of you guys can basically do this in your head, and you can see that right away that I'm going down. So, use the strategy today and after today for this type of problem. Don't use it anymore, but do understand where it's coming from. All right, a couple more here. Let's take a look at. So what do we have? This is the double negative one again, which is good for this. All right, so we keep it, then we change it, then we change it. So now we have negative 5 and positive 10. All right, so again, we have different signs. We have positive and negatives, which means we subtract regularly. Now we match the sign of the greater absolute. Which number is greater? 10 or 5? 10, right? And that is the positive number, which means my sign has to be positive. That is what my answer is. Other way to look at it, I'm going to rewrite it down below here, right? So those are my two numbers. All right, I lost this amount. I earned this amount. I'm going to have more money than I lost, so it has to be positive. All right, take a look at this one. All right, the reason why I included this one is because you've been using this one since, for second grade, right? But now take a look. Let's say we use keep, change, change, right? So keep, I'm going to change it. And now I'm going to change this to a negative. All right, so this problem we were doing a couple of weeks ago, 5 plus negative 2, is basically this problem right here, but it's just rewritten. All right, so I did want you guys to see that. All right, so you definitely don't have to do keep, change on it, but that's where it's coming from. And if you wanted to go backwards, all right, so if you have that, you can keep it. you can change it, and then you can change the -2 to a +2. So for some of you guys, maybe that's a good thing to do when you have it this way. Either way, the answer is 3. All right, how about this one? All right, so -45 plus -10. Since this one right here is already set up in plus, which is what we want, and they're both negatives, I would not use keep change because it's just going to confuse people. Because take a look, it's going to be -45 change, and now I'm changing this to to 10, -10 to +10. All right, and for some of you guys, you've been getting that wrong on your work. So whenever you have a plus, I suggest just keeping it the same and not keep changing it, because it's going to throw some of you guys off. We want to get to the negative to a plus. That's what makes it easier to think about and see. So for this one right here, I wouldn't change it at all. So be careful on your homework today or your classwork to make sure you're not changing them when you don't have to. All right, so -45 plus -10 is 2 negatives. Add, match the sign. All right, one more example here. Here we go. 2 more examples, sorry. So here we go. Keep, change. All right, and a bunch of you guys got this one wrong yesterday. All right, so the -10 becomes a +10. I have my opposites. All right, so I have a -10 and I have a +10. This is going to balance out. I lost and then I gained what I lost, so that has to be 0. All right, don't see that, subtract the 2, and you're going to get 0. Last example, let's take a look. All right, -25 minus 10. So I'm going to keep it. I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. So now I have a greater negative number than I do a positive, which means my answer is going to be negative. I'm going to subtract 25 minus 10. My answer is 15. All right, but it's a negative number, right? This is the whole idea. Again, my absolute here of 25 is greater than my absolute of 10. So the sign of the greater absolute goes down below. Answer is -15. All right, so you're going to do your work on Google Sheets today. And I have a little box here underneath for you guys to retype it into keep, change. And again, don't do that for all of them. Don't do that for the ones that are adding the 2 negatives. All right, let's see who's paying attention today. All right, have a good one today. Let me know if you need any help, and enjoy your last assignment of the year.